It looks like we are getting a nail-biting finish to 2024. We have to take a look to see what's going on with Bitcoin. I'm also going to talk about XRP, technical analysis updates, to see what exactly is going on in the crypto space according to those two cryptos that are out there. And then also I want to take a look at SPY, QQQ, IWM to see what's going on with the stock market, with the S&P 500, with the Nasdaq 100, and then also the Russell 2000 stocks in this video. I'm also going to put an amendment out there to some of the dates that I said. Non-farm payrolls and unemployment rate come out on January the 10th, not January the 3rd. So that is important that you have that information so that we can watch for that very important catalyst that's probably going to have a lot of impact, probably a lot of pressure leading up to it. So expect that maybe we get, depending on what sort of run we get right now, if any, or what kind of drop we get right now, that could be something that puts in a lot of uncertainty into the market, and that could be downward pressure leading up to it. And then that pressure could come off if we get strong numbers for non-farm payrolls and a subdued number for the unemployment rate. Seeing that steady out is going to be huge for us. And then the jolts is on January the 7th. We also want to be watchful for that as well. So that's some of the economic catalysts that we have coming up. Remember what I said, if you watch my previous videos about Bitcoin between now and Inauguration Day is also going to be very important to watch for that. XRP, January the 15th is a huge day because that's the deadline for the SEC filing an appeal in that case with XRP or with Ripple. So we need to be watchful for that as well. So I'm going to put up here for you for Bitcoin. I talked in my previous videos about how important it was that we kept a hold of this 50 EMA as support. So far, we're losing it as I record this, but if you look back at some previous candles that are on the chart here, you can see that we actually get significant buying pressure around this 90 to 92,000 range. So we're going to be watchful for that. Seeing the faster EMAs cross down over the slower EMAs, or I should just say moving averages in general, faster down over slower is a near-term bearish sign. We're up above 200, so that is overall still a bullish thing for the crypto markets, especially because Bitcoin is still the top dog by market cap, and the altcoins are always going to follow. And so we have to be aware of those near-term movements. If we get rejected off of that 50 EMA, we could sell down to 84.6 to 86.4, somewhere in that support area. Down below that, what are we looking for? Well, actually, there's something pretty massive down here. First of all, 78.6, not bad, but this 70,000 per BTC, if things get really rough and we find ourselves down at the 200-day, that could be a massive area for support, and also where we have one heck of a big old bounce, which would give us a really nice run up to the 120 to 127,000 per BTC that I think that we could see within the near term. So we're going to have to see if that happens in Q1, Q2. Some of that does rely on overall market strength and appetite for risk assets. So stock market continues to run. Bitcoin is more easily able to run under that circumstance as well. If we find ourselves fleeing to safety, that's something that could cause some trouble for Bitcoin and could cause that bull case to start to crumble a little bit. So we need to be aware of some of the external factors to Bitcoin besides within Bitcoin in the crypto space itself. Going over to XRP, still in bullish territory here, but what you see when you look at XRP is we might be confirming, it looks like right now we're getting that third touch that would confirm this bottom trend line for this consolidation pattern that you would see coming off of this bull pennant. Now, mind you, we don't have confirmation of the top of that. We have two touches on that, but not a third one yet. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we kind of hit that bottom part of the again, staying down below the 20-day SMA, which for right now is near-term bearishness. We want to stay up above the 50. That would be great for us. Staying within this consolidation pattern, finding that support here and pushing back up through this previous area of support that's turning into resistance for us. This is huge to see the three of those come together, putting a really strong area of support before, but now that means really strong area of resistance up above. We find that next amount of strength down just south of what we have for the 50-day, which is now up at about 189. Down below that 170 to 177 is what we want to watch out for XRP. If we stay in this consolidation pattern, if we find that support and push up through this area of resistance, then we have to contend with the 20-day. Up above that, finding the 20-day as support is what I think gives us that next push to finally start to break to the top side of this consolidation pattern that we probably are finding ourselves in right now. It'd be nice to have a third touch off this top trend line because you can draw a trend line across any 2 points you want to and call it a trend. It's really that third touch that really confirms it. And right now we just don't have it. But for XRP, the more I find out about this, the more I find out why there's such a large community surrounding it with the institutional adoption, the retail adoption that's out there, the amount of regulation that they're pushing for to be one of the regulated, more regulated versions of crypto that are out there. and all of its use cases. Now, mind you, I will put a full video together just on XRP, but I want to make sure that I have a full, well-rounded idea on XRP in the first place. But I can tell you that I love absolutely everything that I'm hearing so far, and I would love to keep on looking to find out where those cracks are, if any, where the weaknesses come in. Really, competition seems to be the biggest thing that I'm finding for XRP, for Ripple. The one thing for XRP that they really do have going for them, at least so far in this early look that I have, is the regulatory side of things, that they're trying to fall in line with regulation that could push for that mass adoption by governments around the world. So got to keep that in mind as I move forward from here, but I am also looking for those weaknesses that might happen to come along. Like I said, competition seems to be the number one thing that I'm finding so far for XRP. And so now, mind you, that would be about looking into the other cryptos that compete with it to see what else stands in its way. So let's move on from there into SPY. In the pre-market hours here, as we're getting late in the pre-market, we're down below the 20, down below the 50 SMA. And if I put the EMAs up here, we're also trading down below the 50 EMA as well. Let me put this more centered on your screen for you, and we'll make it a little bit larger so that you can see these red and pink. Pink is the SMA. Red is the EMA for the 50-period moving averages, and we're currently down below those pretty significantly. We got rejected off the 20-day, down below the 50 as well. Could lead up with a cross with the faster moving down over the slower moving averages that we have on here, and then coming up from the bottom of this, the 200 days all the way down at 553. And I just want to draw your attention to some of these gaps if we fall down through support. So breaking down through 581, almost 582, where we found support before, is going to be huge for us, because the next area that we really find support is down around the mid 560s, and down below that is the mid to low 550s, where we find that next area of support. That's if we sell down. If instead we find support today and rally, then we have to look for breaking not only about 600, even getting on top of 600 still means that we have to break the peak that we would have right around 609, 610, and we're going to have to see. I expect any amount of drama leading up between now and what we would have for Inauguration Day coming up, as in the political sphere, things seem to, I guess maybe there are always tents that are out there. I don't like to see that sort of contention. For me, I just like to watch the financial markets, and I kind of wish that politics had no part in it. But still, they tend to have their impacts out there, and we need to be aware of those things. So looking for that push up above. If we can take 610, we got room up to about 625, up to 630, so we want to be watchful for that. Moving into the Qs, we are up above the 50 EMA and SMA, which is better for bullishness. Down below the 20, we also have the 5 and the 13 that could potentially cross today. We have to be watchful for that, because those EMA crosses, or those very fast-moving ones, could show that short-term drawdown. SPY, QQQ, either way, whether we're looking at the S&P 500 or the Nasdaq 100, we are still well into bullish territory. If we see a little bit of correcting, that could be a very natural thing. But those drawdowns being in bullish territory could be short-lived and not necessarily sustained. And I think the economic reports are going to be huge players in that, especially where employment is involved and inflation are involved. I think those are the two biggest things that we're looking for as those economic reports come out. I think there's a lot of pressure going on to next week's data concerning employment. So I think that's going to have a huge impact on the market performance that we see, that maybe that uncertainty is big enough now that really depresses the prices in the markets. We're going to have to watch and see. It could also be that we're getting a push down right now in those prices, looking for better returns from larger institutions in 2025. So push things down at the end of this year and then pick up lower prices at the beginning of next year. We're going to have to watch and see. There could be any number of influences. Moving over to IWM. So as we look at this for the daily chart, that we're looking at right now, we found support before at about 219, 220, and that was also off this bottom trend line. We want to watch for that push down below it. We closed at 222, currently at 220. Watch for a loss at 219 and watch for this trend line. If that happens, down at about 215-ish is where we're looking, 214, 215 for that 200-day simple moving average that we have on here. Still in bull territory, but we do have a lot of downward slopes with the faster moving averages here. The 20 crossing down over the 50 is going to be huge for that downward pressure from a technical standpoint. That could be something that does push that down for the Russell 2000 stocks. The biggest things that we have for the Russell 2000s to really watch out for, inflation is a huge one, the number of Fed cuts that are expected, and any sign of recession that might happen to be out there. So Russell 2000 has more to worry about than what we'd have for the Nasdaq 100 or the S&P 500, and so it's probably going to react a little bit more volatilely towards negative news in those regards than what we would have for the Nasdaq 100 or the S&P 500. So it would definitely be watchful for that to see what exactly we're getting. If we do get near that, down near that 200-day, watch for a big old bounce to come off of that one, and then holding it as support is going to be huge for us. Falling down through it and hitting our heads off for resistance could be a sign of a further sell. So we do have some uncertainty as we don't know exactly where we're going to go from here, but we do have some moving averages to watch, and we do also have some lines of support and resistance to watch as well. And they're going to be very telling if we have just a temporary drop or if it's going to be more of a sustained sell. And joining us at the end of this video, here's my friend Benny. I'm going to put him down for just a moment here. He doesn't really like me to pick him up. He likes it more just to sit in my lap and for me to pet him, and he loses his mind and purrs and everything like that. But just to wrap up my thoughts here. So for the markets, for crypto, right now we don't have any signs of a sustained sell. We're actually in places right now that could bounce significantly from where they're at, especially considering that we're still technically in bullish territory, whether it is for Bitcoin, XRP, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, Russell 2000, all in bullish territory. So we could see temporary drawdowns, and they could be rapid, and they could just turn around on us on a dime, and then we have more of a sustained uptrend from that. If instead we continue to see a sell and we start to lose that bullish territory, then we could see more of those bearish signs come in. But we just don't have that information yet. I'm going to keep on watching for it. And if you guys want to keep on watching the information that I have as my videos come out, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can see anytime that my videos come out. And if you want to support my channel, and if you want to see more of what I have to say, my technicals, my buys and sells, there's a link for the Patreon down in the description. You can click that, sign up, and head on over to the Discord. There you're going to find all of the services and products that I have for you waiting, as well as me and my community members. And then also down in the description, find that link for Stockmo Academy for learning how to do technical analysis, and also the bread recipe trading strategy, which I personally use, Stockmo personally uses, and people following that community who have signed up for it, learning about it, putting out tons of testimonials every day about all the success that they're having with the bread recipe trading strategy, and just how easy it is to set up, easy it is to use and understand, and also the proven track record that it has to have the ability to put those returns out there for you and really start to pump your portfolio. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.